Yo, this is T.O.T. Thank you for dropping in today. If you have. I recently watched the Genshin Impact 5.7 preview video, and I will be honest, I walked away from it feeling a little bit frustrated. I found out that there is going to be yet another co-op event. Now, I do believe that this is the third or fourth patch in a row now that Genshin Impact has had some kind of a co-op event. For the record, I do want to clarify that historically, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Honkai Impact 3rd have had their share of co-op based events periodically. And typically they'll have an event maybe every 3 or 4 patches. They don't overstay their welcome. I may or may not do them just depending on the context of it, and I move on about my day. Now, I know Genshin Impact has a lot of potential for co-op gameplay and things along those lines. There's a big open world to explore. I know some people do domains together. They fight open world bosses together for loot and things along those lines. So on the one hand, I get it. However, me personally, I do not play games like Honkai Impact 3rd, Genshin Impact, nor Honkai Star Rail for the co-op experience. I play these games as a solo dolo experience, and what I love about these games is you can make so much progression in these games without being reliant on another player. Now, me personally, if I really wanted that co-op experience, I would just play an MMO. 99% of my gameplay experience when it comes to Genshin Impact has been solo. Now, when I was playing Honkai Impact 3rd in the past pretty actively, there was a point in time where there was like this raid type content, and we would go and get these divine keys, and we'd have to go through like 6 stages worth of content in order to get those said divine keys. But they phased out that content. It no longer exists in Honkai Impact 3rd. There will also used to be group bounties that used to be done, and that's also been phased out from the game as well. So Honkai Impact 3rd has actually become more of a solo experience as time has gone by instead of more co-op focused. I think the big part of the reason why I'm not a fan of co-op content is because I've already experienced it through MMOs. Now, every MMO might be different, but the MMO that I last played was a game called Blade and Soul, and there was a pretty decent amount of elitism in the game. And basically, even if your character had the gear to do the dungeon, even if you were familiar with the mechanics, it didn't matter. People would commonly recruit for stuff that was far beyond what you needed to actually clear the dungeon. So basically they would do this so that way they wouldn't have to worry about dealing with as many of the mechs of the boss fights. That was the whole purpose behind it. So what would end up happening is I would find myself getting kicked out of parties pretty commonly, or I would go into a dungeon and let's say somebody messed up on a mechanic, and the party would just fall apart instantaneously a lot of the times. Not always, but a lot of times party would just fall apart. I don't want to re-experience that, and I know that's not the same structure in Genshin Impact, but I don't want to be reliant on other players for my own progression. That's what I like Genshin Impact so much, and Honkai Star Rail and Honkai Impact 3rd is because they provide very strong solo dolo experiences. You can't have that same kind of experience in a lot of MMOs because a lot of MMOs, they really focus on group dynamics and group play and things along those lines. This isn't really that deep at the end of the day. Once again, if somebody enjoys playing with other players, they don't mind the co-op events, that's completely fine. That's not personally why I started playing Genshin Impact, and I don't know who's putting in feedback for the devs to do co-op events every single patch, but hopefully at some point these will stop. I'm not a fan of them. I'm going to more than likely continue to skip most of these co-op events as I have in the past because I just don't enjoy them. I always feel like dragging my feet through the mud. You know, I just want to play the game by myself. And that's it. I think one way that they could have probably set this up is like, hey, if you do this in co-op, you can just get the rewards twice as fast. If you do stuff solo, you can still earn the rewards, but it's going to take you twice as long. I think that would be a nice middle ground, so that way no one is ending up being unsatisfied. That's of course just my opinion. If you have taken out the time to watch this or listen to this, I just want to say thank you for your time. You be safe out there. Deuces.